Hello and welcome to another one of my videos. In this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to create a Ubuntu server and HyperV manager. Alright, let's get started. The first thing I'm going to end up doing is enabling the Windows feature HyperV. A couple things to note. You're going to need Windows 10 in order to do this, and you're also going to need to enable virtualization in the BIOS. If you're not sure how to do that, there's plenty of videos and articles online to check out for enabling virtualization in the BIOS. So as I was mentioning, you're going to want to search down here, Windows Features, select Hyper-V, and you're going to want to make sure both these are checked, and you're going to go ahead and click OK. Once you do this, it's going to ask you to restart your computer. Go ahead and proceed to do that, and once you're back up and running, the next step is to download the ISO for Ubuntu. So you're going to go to ubuntu.com, you're going to select download, you're going to go to Ubuntu server, and you're going to select option 3. Please keep in mind, by the time I'm doing this video, things may change a little, but you're looking for the download for the Ubuntu server with the latest build, and then you're going to go ahead and click download. I already have the version downloaded and it's on my desktop, so I'm going to go back here. And next I'm going to open Hyper-V Manager. One of the first things you're going to end up doing is creating a virtual switch. It's really easy. All you do is you right click, go to Virtual Switch Manager, and you're going to go ahead, continue with external, create virtual switch, name it to whatever you want, and then just click apply, and it's going to create yourself a virtual switch. I already have one created, so I'm already set. And once that's done, you can proceed to create your virtual machine. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So all I did real quick is I just right clicked on my desktop, which is what this is, the name of my computer, new virtual machine, and you go ahead and click next. You can name your machine, then you can click next again. You could also change where you store the machine if you want. I just leave it to its default location, but that's what this is. You could check this and browse to a different path to store the virtual machine. I usually leave the first one checked. Then you can allocate how much startup memory is for the virtual machine. I usually leave it at the default, and I select dynamic memory if it's not already selected. This allows the machine to expand to whatever memory is available, so it doesn't crash or whatever. So I'm going to leave that at that. Click next, and this is where you select your virtual switch. So the one I created previously was VS1, which stands for Virtual Switch 1. Click next, and then this is where you can kind of configure some other options here. Again, you can change the location of where the hard disks are stored. You can choose the size of the virtual hard drive. I'm going to leave that as default. Click next. And then here's where I'm going to install the Ubuntu media. So I'm going to click this one. It's the second option. Install an operating system from a bootable CD or DVD-ROM. And I'm going to select the ISO file. And I select this. Now we have the live media selected. I can go ahead and click next, and I'm going to hit finish. From here, what you can end up doing is clicking connect or start. I'm just going to click connect, and it's going to start the instance of the virtual machine. I'm going to maximize this. Now, depending on what version of the ISO you have, it may ask you to, or it may ask if you want to upgrade the installation media. I've seen this recently. You can go ahead, and I recommend doing that if it prompts you in Ubuntu, just to proceed with that. But if you download the latest build, it may not do that. So you can see here, it gives you some information right off the bat, and let it load a little bit. Okay, So I'm going to choose English for my instance. Continue without updating. So yeah, this is the updating the new installer. Actually, I'm probably going to update the installer, like I was saying before. Okay, looks like that's all said and done. Click OK or done. Gives you your IP address listed here for the server itself. Click OK. Don't need a proxy. Don't need that. Use entire disk. Yep, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to tab down to done. I'm going to click done again. I'm going to click continue. And this is where you can just enter your information. Tab down to done. I'm going to click enter. I'm going to install SSH because we're going to use that in just a little bit. There's a software called Putty which you can download, which will allow you to access your VM. And this is just in case you wanted to install some other things, but by default I'm all set here, so I'm just going to tab down, click done. So now that the updates have finally installed and we have our installation complete, we can proceed to reboot the server. So I'm just going to click enter. Press enter again. And it's going to go ahead and reboot the server for us. Now that the server's finished loading, I should be able to hit enter. It should take us to the login. You're just going to enter the login information that you entered when you first set up the server. Okay, now it looks like we're in the server. So the first thing I'm going to do is check the server's IP address by typing in ifconfig. If I spell it right. Oh, that's strange. Usually it has it installed by default. I guess it doesn't anymore. So it looks like we're going to have to install NetTools. So I'm going to do sudo apt space get install net dash tools. And then you're going to enter your password again. Okay, so now I can type in ifconfig and we can see the IP address listed, which is the 192.168.1.99. In my case, it's going to be a little different depending on what you have. So typically what I like to do is, as default, um, it's set up as D8CP, which means it will automatically obtain an IP address. So depending on how you're configuring the server, you might want that, but I typically assign a static IP to the servers that I set up. And in order to do that, we're going to do sudo space nano. Then it's going to be /etc. Then I think it's net plan. And then if we hit tab, it should take us to the config. And you can see here it has DHCP 4 set to true. And what I typically do is I go to this website here, which has the config, and you can just copy and paste this in. So we're going to want everything from addresses down. Actually, you know what? Name servers, addresses. May not want that one. Well, let's see what we have here. Yep, let's use this one here. We're going to copy everything from here down to name servers. Okay, let's make sure that's right here real quick. Okay, so yeah, you're looking for something like this. Alright, so I have this copied, and we're going to adjust this information just a little bit. So I'm going to go back to the HyperV instance that we had for our server. And actually, I'm going to hit Control X to close out of this. And we're going to actually edit this inside Putty, which is what I was talking about earlier about that SSH access. We have this program that we can use. If you don't have it, I can link a download or put a download link in the description. So I'll do that. So this way you can download this tool, and we're just going to open this this tool up, and we're going to enter that IP address that was listed on the server. And again, to get that, it was just the IF config. So it's 192.168.1.99 in my case. I'm going to leave the port as 22. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to click yes. And I'm going to proceed to enter the username. In my case, enter the name and then the password. Alright, so now I'm using Putty to connect. I like using this software just because it allows me to paste things in. So I'm going to go back to that netplan config, which is sudo nano, which is a text editor. And then I'm going to go to the path for that config, which is etc/netplan. Net, or is it ect/netplan or not? Sudo nano etc. Yeah, there we go. Net plan, and then if I hit tab again, and then the password. Okay, and we're back here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the DHCP4, and I'm just going to paste in that information that I copied earlier from the website. And we should be good to go. So I just want to make sure the information is correct here. Now for the name servers, you're going to want to enter your default gateway. If you're not sure what your default gateway is, I believe you can get that through the console, which I'll show you in a second here. So let me just save the settings I have so I don't got to redo this. I'll hit Control X. It so happens by default this is the default. Oh, actually no, I have to edit this anyway. So my default gateway I believe is .1. So if I hit Control X, hit yes, it'll save it. But if I go back to IF config you can find your default gateway. So let's see here. Perhaps not. No. So what I'm going to end up doing, instead of using ifconfig, we'll just use command prompt. I thought there was some way to find the default gateway, but it looks like I was mistaken. So I'm just going to open CMD, I'm going to type in ipconfig, and it gives us the default gateway here, which is 192.168.1.1. And now that I have that information, I'll go back to the sudo nano etc netplan the config file, and I can enter that in, but in this case I'm going to enter that here, and I already adjusted it under the name servers, and then 8.8.8 is one of Google's DNS servers, so I'll leave that. And then I'm going to use the static IP address of what the server was. In this case it was the 1.99, and leave it as /24, and I think we should be good. I just want to make an adjustment here. Okay, and we will give this a try. So I'm going to click Control X, I'm going to type Y to save it, hit enter. Alright, so now the last step here is we have to apply the changes. So I'll see if I can find the command after we do modify the net plan. So it's sudo netplan apply, which is what we're going to enter now. And if I do sudo reboot, it's going to reboot the server, and it will come back up in just a little bit. And give it a second. And what I did here is I right clicked, and then I'm going to click restart session. Looks like it needs another moment, still rebooting, so I'm going to try it again. Restart session. There we go. Enter my login name again. I'm going to enter my password. And I'm connected back to the server. And now we have it set to where we have a static IP, and you can see here it's the same IP address that the DHCP assigned us. But now if we restart this server, we don't have to worry about it changing the IP address on us. And right now we have a fully operational Ubuntu server, and from here you could do whatever you want. You can install a Minecraft server on here, you could do like an email server, web hosting, company. Really it's up to you and whatever you decide to do after at this point. But yeah, so you have your own Ubuntu server that's on a virtual machine. Some things I like to note with the HyperV manager. Let's see here, let's go back. So now that you have this set up, you can actually you can shut down the server or restart it through the console. So say if I wanted to restart it, I could do what I did before, which was sudo, I think it was reboot, sudo reboot, yeah, and then you would type in your password. Or you can right click the virtual machine through HyperV Manager, and you can shut down the server, or you can turn it off, or you can save it, or reset it, pause it. It's got some options here. I believe there's also a way to export the server, so once you did this and you're happy with the configuration, you could export it, and then you could create another Ubuntu server, so you don't have to wait for it to be set up again. But that's pretty much it for this tutorial. If you guys have anything you want to see, like say how to set up like an email server or anything of that nature, just feel free to leave some comments in the video, and I'll see if I can create some videos around it. Well, thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.